Hey, how's it going everybody? Tim here, back with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about 10 questions that you might be asked when you go to interview for a hotel housekeeping position. Now we're going to go over the questions. I'm going to give you some insight as to why your potential employer is asking you these questions. And then we're going to talk about the best way to answer these questions. Now real quick, before we get into the questions, background on me so you know I know what I'm talking about. I've been a hotel housekeeper more than 5 years. I've worked in hotels all over the United States. I've been a housekeeper. I've been a houseman. I've been a housekeeping inspector. I've been a housekeeping supervisor, a housekeeping crew leader, and now I am a housekeeping manager. So I've interviewed numerous times with numerous different housekeeping departments, and I've also been involved with the interviewing process. So enough about me, let's get started. This is gonna be tons of fun. Let's jump right into question number one. So question number one is, tell me a little bit about yourself. Now this is a pretty standard interview question. Pretty much any interview you go on, you're gonna be asked some variation of this question. Now the reason the interviewer is asking you this question is they're trying to find out whether or not you're a weirdo, okay? Bottom line. They're trying to find out whether or not you are a person they're going to want to work with 40+ hours a week. So what you want to do is answer this question very confidently, very high energy. You want to convey some good qualities about yourself. So I would start off normally with like some personal stuff. Yeah, a little bit about myself. I'm Tim, I'm 40, I love to travel, my favorite movie is The Dark Knight, some things along those lines. I'm smiling, I'm confident, and then in the second part of my answer, I take it to work. Then I bring up some work experience. As far as work goes, a little bit about myself. My past bosses have always said that I was one of the hardest workers. They've always said I'm one of the most punctual people they know. Just a pleasure to be around. And I try very hard to bring joy to the workplace every single day. So question number two is another pretty standard interview question. And that question is, why do you want to work here? Or tell us why you want to work for us. Now, I personally love this question. This is like my favorite interview question because it allows me to show off some of the research I will have done on the company. Anytime you are granted an interview with the company, hop online and do as much research as you can about that company and the department you're going to be working in. And then when you're asked this question, bring up a lot of that stuff. So me personally, I would answer the question something like this. Oh, I'm super excited to work for XYZ Hotels because I had a friend who worked here in the past. She said she really loved it. I heard you pay well, you have decent benefits, and one of the things I really liked is that you hire from within. And I definitely am looking for advancement, so that was something I really appreciated. Also, when I went online and I looked at the hotel rooms I'll be cleaning, I noticed some things about the rooms that intrigued me. Some of the room was similar to places I've worked before, so I know I'll be able to do a good job cleaning. But some of the areas, like the bathrooms, for instance, they're different. I'm excited about that. So what you want to do in this question when answering it is let them know that you have looked into the company. As a potential employer, I'm trying to see, did you just go on jobs.com and find our company and apply? Or is this a company you really want to work for? So the third question you might be asked on your hotel housekeeping interview is, what do you think are the key traits of a good housekeeper? Now, the reason your potential employer is asking you this question is to see if you really know what the housekeeping game is all about. So I would answer this question by just kind of mentioning some of the things that a good housekeeper needs to be. And I would add a little something at the end of it. For example, I think attention to detail is one of the most important traits of a good housekeeper. So I'd be like, number one is attention to detail, because when you're cleaning these hotel rooms, you want to make sure that you do a great job. You want to clean every surface. You want to make sure that, the beds are made properly. You want to make sure that all the floors are vacuumed. So you really just need to have attention to detail because there's lots of little things in these hotel rooms that you do not want to miss because they can turn into major issues when the guest checks in. I'd also say something about like being punctual. A good housekeeper should always be on time because if you're late, it's going to take longer to clean all your rooms, and then the guests are going to be waiting longer. You want to be punctual so you can get those guests in the room as soon as possible. You also want to be a fast worker. Housekeeping is a very fast-paced environment. Once again, we're trying to get those rooms clean, get the guests in as soon as possible. want to get in for the day as soon as possible. So you need to be able to work at a fast pace over a long period of time. A good housekeeper also needs to be friendly, nice, engaging. You're going to come into interaction with a lot of guests. A good housekeeper needs to be able to interact with anyone in the hallway, in the room, just needs to be a nice person who can talk to people. You know, so those are some traits of a good housekeeper that I would mention. Question number 4 is, are you familiar with the proper procedure for cleaning a hotel room? And it's pretty self-explanatory why your potential employer might ask you this question. They want to know if you know how to do the job. So I actually like this question because it's a question that I can wow them on. On this one, I get really long-winded because I want them to know that I really know how to clean a hotel room, because at the end of the day, that's the major part of the job. So I would answer the question something like this. Yes, I'm definitely familiar with the proper procedure for cleaning a hotel room. In my years of experience in several different properties, that is something that I've really learned, I've gotten really good at. Me personally, I like to use the same pattern every time I clean a room. So what I do is I come in, first thing I do, I turn on all the lights, then I take out all the trash, then I strip out all the dirty linens and the dirty terry cloth, take all that out, then I start my actual cleaning. I do the same pattern every time. I come in the room, I start on the right-hand wall, I work my way around, dusting everything, cleaning all the mirrors, I get the TV, I get all the drawers, I get the tables, I get the chairs, I check under the bed, I do the nightstand, I clean the windows if there's a window in the room, then I work my way around to the bathroom. I go in the bathroom, I clean the bathroom thoroughly, then I put all my towels and everything in, then I make the bed, then I vacuum, and that's how I clean a room. Then I also will add, however, I know that every hotel has their own kind of cleaning procedures, so I'm sure your cleaning procedure might be a little different than the ones I've done in the past, so I'm excited to learn your methods for cleaning, and I'm really looking forward to your specialized training when it comes to cleaning your hotel. Now, if you don't have any previous housekeeping experience, you can answer something like this. Well, even though I don't have any previous housekeeping experience, one thing I did was I went online and I looked at a number of housekeeping training videos on YouTube. There's quite a few on there. I looked at some from different properties. I found one from your property. I watched it. So I think I have familiarized myself with how to clean a hotel room. However, I'm very excited for your training so that I can learn to clean a room up to your standards. Question number 5 is, can you work good in a team? Now, this is a pretty standard interview question, and I think most people are smart enough to know that the answer is yes. If you answer no to this question, you will not get the job. Even if it's a place where maybe for the most part you'll work alone as a housekeeper, there will be times when you will have to work as a team. Maybe there's a housekeeper going slow, you have to go help them, or maybe there's just a bunch of stuff going on, they think it'll be quicker for y'all to work together as a team to get it done. So I think most people know you should answer yes. But I think a lot of people miss an opportunity with this question, because there's an opportunity when answering this question to show that you are a leader. So here's how I would answer this question. I would say, oh, I am definitely a team player. While I enjoy working alone, I also enjoy working in a team environment. When I have to come together with my fellow coworkers to complete an objective, I have no problem doing that. Also, I can play any role in that team. If you need me to just be a team member, take direction, do my job, whatever, that's fine. But also, if you need someone to step up and lead a team, I don't mind doing that too. As you saw in my application, I have previous experience as a team leader. I don't mind stepping up if you need me to do that. But at the end of the day, I can work alone, I can work as a team. I just like to work. That answer shows them not only are you flexible, which is good, an employer wants to know you're flexible, and they also like potential leaders. So you want to, in your interview, let them know, yes, I might be coming in just as a housekeeper, but I'm also looking for advancement. You can call on me if you need me. So we're halfway through, and I honestly believe that by now you probably already have the job, just based off the advice I've been throwing at you in the past 5 questions. But in case you don't, and in case you want to be super thorough, let's keep going. Let's jump into question number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that Spanish? Was that right? Number 6. So question number 6 is one that as an employer or a manager, I really pay attention to the interviewee's answer. Question number 6 is, tell me about a time in the past where you made a mistake as a housekeeper. If you have been a housekeeper before, I'm gonna wanna know what kind of mistake you made as a housekeeper previously, because I know all housekeepers make mistakes. And housekeeping, just from the closeness that we are to the guest and the interaction we have with them and their belongings, when you make a mistake, sometimes it's a big deal. So I want to know about a situation like that, and I'm gauging to see whether you're just gonna give me some stupid excuse, oh, one time I didn't put the towels in the room, or if you're gonna like really delve deep and like be honest. And the more honest you are and the better story you tell me, the higher your stock goes up. And that's how you want to answer that question. Not only tell about a mistake you made, but also tell how you've tried to correct that and how it helped you to never make that mistake again. Because that shows growth. You don't want to be like, oh, one time I didn't clean the toilet and there was poop in it. Question number 7 is, how do you act when asked to perform tasks outside of your normal job description? An employer wants to know, if I hire you to be a housekeeper, if I need you to do something outside of the normal parameters of what a housekeeper does, how are you going to react? Now, I think this is a great question if you have experience as a housekeeper to showcase your knowledge of a housekeeping department or of a hotel, of hospitality. So I would say something like, oh, when I'm asked to perform a task outside my job description, which happens a lot when you work in the hotel business, I don't mind. Because I understand that throughout the day, either within the department or within the hotel in general, we need to help each other out. We are all in this together. So if I have to help laundry out, I don't mind doing that. If I have to help the runners of the houseman out, I don't mind doing that. If I need to do something for front desk because they're too busy to do it, I don't mind doing that. Basically, you want to name off some other aspects of housekeeping that you don't mind doing, and then maybe name off some other departments that are linked to housekeeping that you don't mind helping either. Now, if you don't have any experience in housekeeping, that doesn't mean you can't answer the question. Once again, do a little research. You can kind of say the same thing. Oh, I don't mind working and doing things that aren't my normal job description. At my past job at McDonald's, this used to happen all the time. I was the fry guy, but I used to have to whip burgers together sometimes. Sometimes they needed me to go and clean up the lobby. I don't mind doing that. And even though I've never been a housekeeper, I would imagine that sometimes maybe you have to help in other departments that are linked to housekeeping, or maybe help other people in the housekeeping department. While I don't know right now what those jobs are, I definitely am the type of person that would love to learn other aspects of the hospitality industry and the hotel business. So I actually would look at it as a positive if I'm ever asked to perform some duties outside of my regular duties, because then I get to learn more about how a hotel works. Question number 8 is one of my favorite questions, and it is, how would you handle an angry or irate customer or guest? Like, I really love this question because anybody who's ever done any housekeeping knows that you're going to run into some really angry people. One of the things we run into as housekeepers is the guests see us more than anyone else. We have more interaction with the guest other than anyone else. If you're mad, and the housekeeper comes into your room, who do you think you're going to be mad at? The housekeeper. So we run into a lot of angry guests. Now, I will say, as a housekeeping manager, I don't want to hear you just say, call my manager. If a guest is angry, I call my manager. I don't want to hear that. Okay? Even though that is the right answer, if the situation escalates to a certain point, I want to hear you say that you would try to do everything you could to take responsibility, ownership of the situation, calm the guest down. That's how you answer that question. Well, I would try to ascertain why the guest was angry, see if there's anything I personally could do to resolve it, see if there's any way that like the hotel could do something for them, and then I would bring that information to my manager if it was something that I couldn't personally do. I want to hear the housekeeper say they would own the situation, and I'm pretty sure every other interviewer is the same way. Because if you're just the type of person that's just going to scapegoat, well, how is that a help? You want the person who interacts with the guest first to do as much as possible to help that guest out. Question number 9. We're almost home, folks. We're almost done. Question number 9 is, are you good at multitasking? Now, as a hotel housekeeper, you definitely will have to learn to multitask. There will be times when you have so many different things going on. Guests will come up, want you to do other stuff for them while you still got this going on. You definitely need to know how to multitask. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that the answer to this question is yes, I'm good at multitasking. However, I think this question, once again, gives you an opportunity to sell yourself, tell the interviewer something about yourself. So here's how I would answer that question. I would say, yes, I'm great at multitasking. In fact, I think multitasking is one of my strengths, and that's because I recognize that in order to multitask properly, you need to have a clear head. So I make sure to get a good night's sleep every night before I come to work. I don't party on work nights, no drinking, no drugs, none of that stuff. I make sure I get a good night's sleep, I can get to work on time. Another thing I do is when my manager or supervisor is giving me my task, I write them down. You know, if a guest or someone else comes up and wants me to do something while I'm in the middle of something else, I make a mental note of where I was at, say in that room, and then I also write down what the guest wants from me. So I try to make sure I always know what is expected of me. I always know all the tasks I have going on. And I also, like I mentioned, just try to come to work with a clear head every day so that I can multitask and do my job to the best extent possible. And now for the last question you might be asked on a hotel housekeeping interview. Question number 10 is, how would you react if you see a fellow coworker misbehaving? Now, this is a question that has many variations. It can be asked many different ways, but basically they want to know, what would you do if you see a coworker doing something they ain't supposed to? Now, this can be a tricky question to answer because there's no really right answer, because depending on who's interviewing you, they may want a different answer. What I mean by that is you can't just say, oh, I would definitely report him to a supervisor, because there are some managers that don't like that answer. To some people, that seems like snitching, right? There are some managers that aren't going to like that answer. There are some managers who think that is the right answer. Okay, I personally would kind of give a safe answer and say something along the lines of, if I saw a coworker doing something that they weren't supposed to be doing and it wasn't a major issue, I would go to them and try to let them know that, hey, that is not how we do things around here. Now, if it was a major issue, if it was a very important safety issue, or I saw them stealing or something like that, well, then I might be obligated to tell my supervisor or my manager. But at the end of the day, I really am just concerned about them changing the behavior as opposed to getting a fellow coworker in trouble. That's kind of the way I would answer it, because it shows that you're not just like a snitch who anytime you see anything is going to run and tell somebody. And we all make mistakes. So even as a manager, I kind of want people working with me that are more like, hey, bro, you probably shouldn't do that, as opposed to just running upstairs to tell. So that's it, folks. We're done. Those are the 10 potential questions you might be asked on a housekeeping interview. Now, hopefully you can use the advice you got in this video to ace your interview, and you will be gainfully employed as a hotel housekeeper sometime in the near future. Now, do me a favor before you go. Could you look down there and hit the thumbs up? Just give me a thumbs up. And if you have the time and you enjoyed this video, go to my channel page and look around. If you like what you see, give me a subscribe. I'd really appreciate that too. Stick around. It's a fun journey. Anyway, good luck on your interview. Hope you get the job. If you do, come back and let me know. I'm Tim. Talk to you later.